Yep. Men's mental health. It's not looking too fresh, guys. I started off with this video because if you have not had moments where you literally have to scream to get out your frustration in the world, then God bless you. Because I know personally, I have been this guy. I have gone through that same exact thing, whether being in a car and you just gotta brake and let it out, let some steam out, and then go back to being normal. It seems psychotic, right? It seems like sociopathic, but that video, and there's many videos that copy this same thing this guy did, depicts so many men out there that you have no clue. Just guys that you wouldn't expect to scream and then totally be kosher, be like, hey man, what's up? Everything's chill. But deep down inside, they're just like screaming into a void of nothing. It's more men than you think. So we're gonna be reacting to men's mental health. It's kind of a big thing that's overlooked. Is there a solution for it? We'll find out. But let's react to some videos, talk about some stuff, and have a cup of joe, and have some fun in the meantime. All right, so let's hop into the next doozy. This one, I'll just let it play and I'll react after.
Gets emotional in front of you or he starts crying and you tell him that he is less of a man because of that, you're taking pieces of him. And every time you take a piece, he's going to view a relationship different. You think everything is fine and dandy because now you're out of your trauma response, you're not in fight or flight, you've cried and apologized for treating him the way you did, and now everything is back to normal for you because he said it's okay. But you can't take back everything you just said to him. That's gonna be on repeat in his mind.
All right, I'm gonna stop right there. I have been through this myself. A lot of these videos I can actually relate to. That's why I kind of chose some of them. Because people don't really realize, especially ladies out there, listen, I know life's hard. I feel for you. I know you might have had some terrible upbringings. You might have had some guys cheat on you, mess with your head, manipulate you, what have you, and made you an emotional mess. The problem is when that trauma from your life bleeds into your relationship, that messes that guy up. And the trauma train keeps on flowing. It keeps on rolling, right? So in the beginning of this, she's basically saying like, when people get heated, they get into a fight, and you say stuff like that, like if a guy cries and you say he's less of a man crying in front of you, that messes with someone psychologically. And guys won't even admit it either. So if you've been through that and a woman actually says that to you, which I've been through before, you have no safe place. And I chose this because so many people on the internet just tout, oh, men just need to be softer. Men just need to talk about their feelings. They just need to open up. They're too closed off. They're too macho and act too masculine. This is the kind of stuff that causes men to close off even more. Like, understand that. Like, there's men out there who go through experiences where they try to open up with their partner, their girlfriend, or someone, and they're just like, they look at their man in disgust and they're like, you weak bitch. I'm less attracted to you. It's a shame. It's disgusting that even happens, but it does. And what happens is it closes men off, and even if it's not in their conscious mind, it's way back in their cranium. It's way back there in their subconscious, and it's deeply rooted. So before people jump to the gun and say, well, men need to open up, some men won't open up because some fucked up shit was said to them, and maybe it was a relationship that's over or a relationship that they're still in, but that's there, man. The damage is there. There's a person a while ago, I forget the name, they wrote books, one of those self-development guru type people, but this concept was kind of interesting where they said when a person goes through a traumatic event, parts of themselves become fractal in a way. Pieces of themselves break off, and remnants of that person stick with that traumatic event, whether in the back of the brain, metaphysically, whatever way you want to interpret that. But it really is true. When a guy goes through things like that, pieces of himself die off. They strip away. And like a callus on your hand, the more you rub against that skin, the thicker the callus becomes because it's protecting itself. Your heart, your mind, your body will do the same thing because it's fight or flight. Your body really doesn't know. It's like, this is some stress. We have to learn how to deal with this stress so we do not die. Your body wants to stay alive. Unfortunately, a lot of guys out there, you're suffering with your brain not wanting you to be alive, but your body wants to. So that was pretty deep. So any guys out there, if you've been through that, whether from a woman, a guy, or anybody, and you got, emotionally teared up and they look down on you, I'm sorry you went through that, my man. I've been there too. You can heal from it. Don't let yourself ice over. It doesn't do you any good. It just makes the world a colder place. So, send you love, man. Now let's go to the next one. All right. This I thought was really interesting. This was from a podcast. And I feel, actually I'm gonna play this out. You'll see how I feel.
The most dangerous person in the world is a man that is broken and alone. If you look globally, the most unstable, violent societies in the world all have one thing in common. They have a disproportionate amount of young men with a lack of economic or romantic prospects. What do? We send them off to war. If they don't have economic prospects internally, they'll overthrow the government. So we find conflict and we send them off to war. Also, this younger generation of men is paying for the unfair advantage you and I had.
So I'm gonna cut off there because the main point was the beginning first half, right? When you have a society of men that have no purpose, their place in the workforce feels minuscule. They're barely making enough to get by. They're working their balls off. They feel like they're working for a society that hates them. The most dangerous thing is a guy that's isolated, who, whether they do it to themselves because the world hurts them a lot, or they can't help it because things are expensive, they have to work all the time, they might have a family, and it's hard to really maintain relationships where most of your time spent working. They're just spinning their wheels because they're working for a system that feels pointless, or they feel as if it hates them, right? And when you have a surplus of people in a society, like a surplus of men that feel this way, they're gonna have disdain for that system they're slaving for, right? And you kind of feel that today because the world today is so divided, at least in the US, countrywide, right? And a lot of guys are to the point where like they might be living with family, they might be living in a shitty apartment they don't like, struggling to hold on to their mortgage or their home, they're working their asses off, they don't have a girl, they don't have much family, they don't have much friends. You know what goes through that guy's mind? He's already on the edge, right? He's like, well, this is all pointless. Like, whatever. If I die trying to have a revolution, then fuck it. Because I'm gonna die anyways, or they wanna die. So it makes so much sense that this has happened in history, and it's kind of a thing that governments knew about, you know? There's an old term in the cannon fodder where literally they were just the frontline people they would throw in battle that they know would be obliterated, blown up, shot, machine gunned down. Cannon fodder, you know? The people that you gotta just get rid of. And today people are aware of war and a lot of the stupidity of a lot of these wars we've been engaged with in constant conflict. And people are like, fuck you. I'm not gonna fight for this system that doesn't even care about me. So when you really look back and you look at the world today, the frustration of men, like, they're either going to use that frustration towards something or they're going to disappear. And I really hope it doesn't get to that point. I really hope cool heads prevail. But man, things are looking weird out there in the world. And there's a lot of lonely, really guys going through some dark battles in their mind, right? And I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but I hope there's no kind of revolutionary overthrow that occurs, all right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think we're just going to end it on this next one. It's from like a psychiatrist. I'll let her give her 2 cents.
A man who grew up with unhealthy boundaries between him and his mother generally tends to grow up in very codependent relationships as an adult. This is because his idea of love goes from an equally beneficial partnership to complete servitude, having him only become happy and satisfied if his partner is happy. His partner becomes codependent on him because she needs him to fulfill all of her needs, and he's codependent on her because she regulates his emotions by being okay.
All right. So I chose that because if you have to play it back and listen to it again, you realize there's a pattern, there's a cycle. Unfortunately, today, there are a lot of men that grew up in broken households. A lot of guys that their dad wasn't in the picture, their mother raised them, they went through a divorce, and they spent most of their time with their mom. And unfortunately, that builds a weird relationship between the mother and the son, where almost the mom is like a provider in a way in their younger years, so they have to placate and do what they can to please their mom. Their mom's happy, that makes them happy. They get love, they receive love. That's their sense of love from their childhood. And then when they get into adulthood, that same seeking of love, well, where do you get that? When you're an adult in the world, right? Your wife, girlfriend, relationship, you develop this people-pleasing habit. And this is where it can get very bad very quickly, because if you're one of these guys that has this predisposition, whether you know it or not, when you go into these relationships and they're not healthy, you are addicted to pleasing that person. And if it's ugly, if it's bad, if they're yelling and screaming at you, or they're never satisfied, they're never happy, you're chasing this dragon to please them, because then your home life will be more comfortable. Unfortunately enough, I've been through this myself, gentlemen, so I can tell you from experience, when you're in an unhealthy relationship where, like, there's some guys out there, they go to work and they look forward to going to work because it's less of a hassle and less of a stressor than being at home. That's not good. When you go home, or you're about to go home and you loathe it because you know it's some other battle, there's gonna be some kind of issue, and you're like, God, I just look forward to going to sleep. That, like, when a guy, his highlight is sleeping at night because that's the only rest you get, that's pretty bad. And not all men have this toxic cycle from their mother, but it can develop just from being a people pleaser or just being a lonely guy who gets attention from a woman and she hooks him in. It's a very powerful thing that women can possess, which is showing men affection. Ladies, you have a superpower that you don't maybe not even know about. If you show a man a little affection, it doesn't even have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be much at all. If you show him a little affection, he will do anything blindly. And if you increase that affection, God, guys are in jail because of shit like that. Because they either feel like they're not going to get that affection or it's withdrawn, so they got to do whatever they can to fix it to get that feeling back because they don't have it anywhere else. And if a man's isolated, and what some toxic people will do is, if he had friends or family, isolate him even more, where his only positive reinforcement or love comes from that single person, they got them. They got them. And that dude will either, two things will occur. One, he will be on edge all the time, like almost PTSD level stress where, all right, what am I gonna do wrong? Like, I can't do this wrong. I gotta have this okay. I'm stressed all the time. Like, I just want to go home, have a nice evening. I don't want any fights, don't want any issues. I just want to be able to breathe and feel relaxed. Oh, and then you go home and then something goes wrong and then you're on edge. You're like, oh shit. Oh God, here we go. Stressor, BS. What do I have to do to fix it? That's one. The second is the example I like to use is like a dog that's been overly beaten and doesn't give a heck anymore, right? Unfortunately, if you ever seen someone who mistreated an animal, I've seen it firsthand where you yell at the dog, scream at the dog, smack at the dog, hit the dog. After a certain point, the dog takes it and still does the bad behavior because they're just like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? Yeah, whatever, hit me, smack me. I've absorbed all of this. What else can you do? Kill me? All right. Then it's over. Then I don't have to worry about it anymore. Think how sad that is. So many men go through that where they're like a beaten dog. They're just dead inside. And it's like, all right, here comes the fight. Yell at me, scream at me. What are you gonna do? What'd I do wrong now? All right, whatever. I'll try to fix it. I just want to get through this so I can just go to sleep and then get a break from life and go to work tomorrow and just, what else are you gonna do, right? Life is dark enough. Like, when am I gonna die? Cool, then I have a break from everything. And that is why it shouldn't be surprising to people that men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, because they are just like, things suck. What else is gonna become worse? Like, what, death? Then I have a break. Then this torture is over. So, I know this is a little bit of a heavy reaction video, but you have to really get into the mind of people to understand what's going on with men. Why is mental health with guys so tough? And oftentimes people will say, hey, talk to your friends, make friends, get a therapist. And yes, you can go that option. Having friends, guy friends that you can relate to and talk to, is a positive thing where you can reinforce yourself. Unfortunately, life is not going to be easy. It's unfair, and it's going to get more tough. I'll be straight up, and the future is going to get more tough, guys. So you have to band together with your other friends and at least be able to brunt the force of life together and not just individually. So if you got a guy that you can talk to, a guy friend, a circle, a church, what have you, that will benefit you. That will help you. I mean, another tip I can give is find faith. No matter whatever it is, I don't care what you choose, but find some kind of faith. a higher power that holds you responsible, because that will definitely give you a spiritual purpose where offing yourself doesn't seem like this great thing, right? And if you can afford like a therapist or somebody to talk to, go for it. I kind of say that last because a lot of people are they live in like this bubble world and they don't know how tough it is in the real world. You know, I live in a rural area. I don't live in a suburb. I don't live near a major city. And a lot of people in the United States live in rural America. You'd be working jobs that barely can help you support your family, or you're paying just to get by. You don't have the best health insurance. So to go out and find a therapist and pay for each session is expensive. And not everybody can afford that. And you see all these people online that are like, this ad is brought to you by BetterHelp. Man, BetterHelp is expensive. You go on there, the amount of money per week you have to put out, it's unrealistic for the average American today. So if you can afford therapy to talk it out, yeah, go for it. But if you can't, that's why I give the first two examples. Try to get a friend group. Try to get a guy that you can talk to, a family member. Find some kind of men's club. You know, I know they're real old school, but there's still elk lodges around. There's still, you know, Italian American clubs, Hispanic American clubs, like if you're culturally inclined. You know, find places where you can meet with other guys and just be able to interact and do stuff, but make some friends that you can actually talk to let off this heavy stuff, because bottling it up will only make you colder, and it's gonna make you get to a point like the guy in the beginning of the video where you just break and then you have a facade and you glass over and be like, yeah, everything's fine. But deep down inside, shit is not okay. So keep your heads up, fellas. It's tough out there, but we need to talk about the reality of these things and talk about what goes on psychologically. It's not as simple as just saying, oh, men are acting too macho, they gotta talk. As we can see from the examples, trauma can cause that to ice over. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I have reaction videos, more of these coming, but I also have other self-development, you know, and other kinds of things to just better life, share ideas, and just have a good time. So, love you guys. Keep your heads up. I know it's tough out there, but at least somebody loves you out there. I love you. I don't even know you. So, take care. See you in the next one.